My friends, life's most transformative moments do not arrive clothed in light. They come wrapped in darkness. The night of the soul, the time when all illusions crumble, is not a curse but an invitation. You are being summoned to meet yourself. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." In your darkest hour, your greatest strength lies dormant, waiting for your courage to awaken it. Your darkest hour is not an accident, it is a summoning. When everything familiar falls away, and the structures of your life crumble, you are left exposed before the rawness of your own existence. This is the place where the masks you've worn for so long begin to dissolve, and the carefully constructed stories you tell about who you are lose their grip. In this moment, despair may seem like an abyss, yet in truth it is a threshold. What feels like an ending is also a beginning, a crossing into deeper layers of your own psyche. The self you knew is dying so that a greater self can emerge. This is why the darkness is sacred. It does not come to destroy you, but to strip away what is false, what is borrowed, what is no longer alive within you. In this space of apparent emptiness, you are invited to meet the parts of yourself you have avoided or ignored. You are called to face the silences between your thoughts, to listen to the whispers of your soul that could not reach you through the noise of ordinary life. Here you may experience fear, isolation, and disorientation, but underneath those feelings lies a vast and untapped source of potential. The darkest hour is a mirror, showing you not only your wounds but also your capacity for courage, creativity, and rebirth. If you allow yourself to stay present, without numbing, without running, you begin to see that what feels like darkness is actually the fertile soil of transformation. Seeds germinate in the dark before they rise toward the light. So too does your deepest power germinate here, out of sight, until it becomes strong enough to break through the surface of your old life. The more you trust this process, the more you realize that the darkness is not your enemy but your teacher. It is shaping you into someone who can withstand truth, someone capable of living with authenticity and depth. The moment you step into your darkest hour, you inevitably encounter the shadow, the hidden counterpart to the self you show the world. It is the repository of everything you've repressed, denied, or rejected about yourself. Your fears, unspoken desires, forgotten dreams, old traumas, unclaimed strengths. All of these dwell in the shadow. Most people run from it, distracting themselves with noise, comfort, or endless striving. But there comes a time when life no longer allows you to escape, and the shadow rises before you like an unmovable mountain. It demands acknowledgement. This is not a punishment but a turning point. To embrace the shadow with courage is to reclaim the parts of your soul you have abandoned. The shadow appears frightening because it has been exiled from your conscious life, yet in its depths lies vitality and power. Each aspect you deny becomes a ghost that haunts you, influencing your choices in unseen ways. When you project your shadow onto others, you see enemies instead of mirrors, and you live trapped in cycles of blame. But when you summon the courage to turn inward and face what you've cast off, the shadow becomes an ally. It ceases to sabotage you and begins to guide you. You no longer feel divided against yourself. Instead, you experience a deep integration, a unity of opposites within. Embracing the shadow does not mean indulging in destructive impulses or becoming lost in darkness. It means recognizing the truth of your full humanity. It means letting go of the illusion of purity and perfection and accepting the wholeness of who you are. This act of radical self-honesty liberates immense creative energy. The very qualities you once feared may become the sources of your greatest strength. Your anger may transform into boundary, setting in passion. Your shame may transform into empathy and authenticity. Your grief may transform into wisdom and depth of character. To do this work requires courage because it dismantles your self-image and confronts you with uncertainty. Yet this is precisely where transformation occurs. When you face your shadow consciously, you begin to walk the path of individuation, the journey toward becoming a whole and integrated being. You will discover that the shadow you feared was never an enemy but a teacher, holding the keys to your authenticity, resilience, and inner power. In embracing it, you reclaim your life's lost energy and step more fully into your destiny. Suffering, when stripped of the labels we hastily attach to it, is not simply an obstacle but an initiation. It is a sacred crucible in which the superficial layers of the self are burned away so that the deeper, truer essence may emerge. When you are confronted with pain, whether loss, failure, betrayal, or a dismantling of your old identity. Your first instinct may be to escape, numb, or deny it. Yet the act of turning toward your suffering, of allowing yourself to fully experience and understand it, initiates a metamorphosis no external achievement can offer. Just as intense pressure transforms carbon into diamonds, so does suffering refine your soul, exposing its resilience and radiance. Within the experience of pain is a paradox. You feel diminished, yet you are being expanded. You feel broken, yet you are being reassembled into something more whole. Suffering stretches the borders of your being, creating new depths in which compassion and courage can take root. The very sensations that feel unbearable, the ache in your heart, the void where something once stood, are the chisels carving a larger space for wisdom to enter. If you can resist the temptation to judge your suffering as meaningless and instead ask, "What is this pain trying to teach me?" you begin to see its hidden sacredness. Suffering also reveals the illusions of control. It brings you to the edge of what you can manage, exposing the fragility of the ego and its plans. Yet in this humbling process lies a strange liberation. The old self dissolves, and you stand at the threshold of something vast, a space where your small identity can no longer contain the magnitude of your unfolding being. This breaking is the necessary prelude to rebirth. In the darkness of the cocoon, the caterpillar does not simply grow wings, it dissolves entirely before reassembling into a new form. Through this alchemical process, suffering ceases to be merely an affliction and becomes a sacred fire. It purifies your motives, clarifies your values, and ignites the courage to live from a deeper center. When you consciously endure and integrate your suffering, you come out the other side not as a victim, but as a participant in your own evolution. You gain a new relationship with pain itself, seeing it not as an enemy but as a messenger, a sculptor shaping you into your authentic self. And it is from this place of transformation that true strength, humility, and compassion emerge, becoming permanent fixtures of your character, rather than temporary states. Individuation is the deep and lifelong process of becoming who you truly are beneath all masks, expectations, and inherited identities. It is not merely self-improvement but a sacred unfolding, an alignment with the pattern your soul has carried since birth. In the darkest hour, this process accelerates. The collapse of your familiar world leaves space for something larger and more authentic to emerge. The pain you endure loosens the grip of your old persona. The you, constructed to please, to conform, or to survive, and ushers you into a confrontation with your true nature. Individuation calls you to gather every part of yourself, even the aspects you have judged, hidden, or ignored, and weave them into a whole. As you begin to reclaim these exiled fragments, you start to recognize that your identity is not a single fixed point, but a living tapestry of opposites. Light and dark, masculine and feminine, vulnerability and power, instinct and spirit. To individuate is to stop rejecting these polarities and instead integrate them. It is an act of radical acceptance that draws strength from contradiction and harmony from tension. In this way, your life becomes less about constructing an image and more about embodying essence. You cease to be defined by what others project onto you, or by the cultural scripts you've inherited. You become self-authored, grounded in an inner authority that does not sway with circumstance. Individuation also means taking responsibility for your own psychic energy. No longer blaming the world or waiting for rescue, but recognizing that the gold you seek has been within you all along. You learn to interpret your dreams, listen to your intuitions, and honor your emotions as guides. Your relationships shift as you stop projecting your unclaimed qualities onto others, and instead hold them within yourself. This integration brings a quiet confidence and steadiness, a sense of being rooted even as the world around you changes. In becoming whole, you discover that your life has a unique shape and trajectory. You begin to sense a calling, not necessarily as a career but as a way of being in the world that feels deeply congruent with your soul's design. You live less from fear and more from authenticity, less from compulsion and more from conscious choice. The self, your deepest, most encompassing center, becomes your compass, orienting you not toward perfection but toward wholeness. This path is not always comfortable. It may require shedding relationships, habits, and identities that no longer serve you. It may feel like stepping into uncertainty without a map. But this is the essence of individuation, trusting the unfolding of your own inner life more than the noise of external validation. As you persevere, you find that the solid ground you were searching for lies not outside but within, a foundation built from the integration of every experience, every shadow, every spark of light. And from this foundation rises a person who cannot be easily shaken, one who embodies depth, authenticity, and quiet strength, radiating a kind of authority that is not imposed but emanated from the core of being. When you have walked through your own darkness and survived its tests, something extraordinary begins to happen. The pain you once thought would destroy you becomes the very force that allows you to guide, uplift, and heal others. This is the hidden grace of suffering. Your wounds, once integrated, these cease to be scars of shame and instead become marks of initiation, signs that you have traversed the underworld and returned with gifts. The energy that was once bound in grief, fear, or anger is transmuted into empathy, wisdom, and presence. In this way, the very experiences you wish to forget become the source of your power to connect and to serve. Transmuting darkness into light for others is not about preaching or rescuing. It is about embodying authenticity so fully that your very being becomes a lantern. People sense your depth. They recognize in you a resilience that has been forged through real struggle, not manufactured positivity. This resonance creates a field of safety where others feel permission to be honest about their own pain. By simply holding space, without judgment, without needing to fix, you offer a mirror of possibility. If I can survive and grow from my pain, so can you. This silent transmission is often more powerful than any advice you could give. As you continue this work, you begin to understand that your personal healing contributes to a larger collective healing. The patterns you dissolve in yourself, shame, rage, victimhood, are also patterns present in the collective psyche. When you integrate your shadow and transmute your suffering, you shift the energetic field around you, creating ripples that affect your family, your community, even your culture. This is how true leadership begins, not by controlling others, but by transforming yourself. Your example becomes a living testament that light can emerge from the deepest night. In this role, humility is essential. You are not superior because you have endured suffering. You are simply more attuned to the shared human journey. Your compassion deepens because you know firsthand the terrain of despair. This allows you to offer guidance without condescension, strength without hardness, and encouragement without illusion. Your words carry weight because they arise from lived experience. Your silence carries healing because it rests in acceptance. Ultimately, to transmute darkness into light for others is to recognize that your life is interwoven with all life. Your healing is their healing, and their healing is yours. The gifts you bring back from your underworld journey, patience, clarity, courage, compassion, are not private possessions but offerings meant to be shared. In giving them, you do not lose them. They multiply. And as you witness others stepping out of their shadows, ignited by your presence, you see the full circle of your own transformation. The darkest hour that once broke you has now become the light you carry, a beacon that guides others through their own night toward the dawn of their true selves. The darkest hour is not the end, it is the womb of a new self. Do not curse your darkness, cultivate it. Meet it with curiosity and courage. Within it lies your unclaimed power, your untold wisdom, and your unshakable strength. As Jung taught us, the gold is in the dark. Go there and find it.